How's it, everyone? Welcome back to the Wealth Rooms YouTube channel. It is wonderful to spend time with you guys again today. You are with Rudy
and Grant.
And we are so excited to talk to you guys today about two really cool topics. We're going to give you a brief economic update and
I can't remember.
and we're going to talk about where to from there. So that is exciting. We're very amped for that. Today, the Wacky Friday video that we normally do, we're going to be a little bit more serious this time around. And it's purely just to get people into a mind frame of exactly where we're at from our perspective. And hopefully that will be a tool and not something that's going to paralyze you into fear any longer. So it's still the same concept to try and motivate you to get confident and excited about the future. Cool. So over to you, Rudy.
Well, Granty, I know you just kind of nailed that and said, in this current economic climate, we are, facing probably one of the most unprecedented times that we have ever come to, know in our young lives. And, our grandparents went through wars and, famine and all sorts of diseases and pandemics, and everyone kind of got through it. We are where we are today because of those moments, and a kind of history wrote this, current state of affairs. How would you say, or how would you predict the COVID-19 pandemic is going to, write a new story for the future, so that in hindsight for the future, we're going to look back and go, because of COVID-19, this is how it affected life. And I know that's a very broad statement, but just on how you're seeing that your current life has changed drastically, how do you think that that's going to permeate into the future?
Yeah, I think the cool thing, really, with that is that at the end of the day, life as we know it today will never be the same. Definitely. Everything's going to be completely different going into the future. And I think what we need to understand is, and I'm going to give you a brief economic update from our perspective in a second, but before I do it, I want to lay the platform and say, guys, there's major opportunities out there. If you're wide awake, you're going to be able to pick up opportunities like never before, because we are in a very inefficient market. Yeah. So there's great opportunities out there, excuse me for that. And what I think we should do is let's talk about the economy for a second. So I like to talk in pictures, so let's talk about a tsunami. And I think I've mentioned this in one of the videos before. We're basically facing a tsunami at the moment. And if you look at any crisis management protocol during a tsunami, it's survival mode. Yeah. And with COVID-19, we're all in survival mode. Agreed. However, after survival mode, we have to face the destruction of what's going on in the economy. So what does that mean? What is that destruction? What is like a brief glimpse in this ball that we have, this magic ball that can maybe tell us the future, the crystal ball? And I think what the crystal ball is going to basically tell us is that COVID-19 at this point is masking a major depression that is possibly on our hands. And why I say that is we look at where we are economically in a country perspective. Economically, we have been downgraded to junk status by all three credit rating agencies. That means...
That makes me really moody.
Yeah, it does. Moody is one of them. So it's good to bring in some banter here. But so one of the cool things with that is that we understand from a investment perspective, foreign investors can no longer invest in South Africa. It's part of their pension fund acts. It stipulates if the country is no longer in credit, in a solid credit rating, you can no longer invest in. That means they have to pull their money out of South Africa. Mm-hmm. What that does, it's like a domino effect. Each one of these economic catastrophes knocks into something else. Yeah. So what that does is that then creates a massive supply of rands on the South African economy. Yeah. When there's a massive supply of rands in the South African economy, the rand crashes. Hence what we have seen. Yeah. Because remember, end of April, guys had to pull the money out of the country. Sure. Rand got hammered. Yeah. The rand, in my opinion, is actually doing quite well at the moment on the back of the US doing extremely poorly and on the back of Brexit happening in the UK and Europe. So we actually have got quite a strong rand, in my opinion, at this stage compared to where we can go in the future. Yeah. So having said that, we also looking at interest rates at all-time low in South Africa. What that means, once again, this domino effect, if interest rates start rising, people are battling financially as it stands. If people are battling as it stands financially with low interest rates, if interest rates start rising, that means people will start defaulting. And if people start defaulting, that means their houses are going to have to go onto the market for sale. They're not going to get the same value they would get in a normal market. There's going to be a massive flood of properties in the market, so that means supply and demand gets messed up again. Massive supply of properties, low demand, price values of properties go down and are horribly destroyed. But let's bring it back to some positive notes, because all of that is like doom and gloom, and we don't want it to be just doom and gloom all the time. So having said that, the most important thing for us to do for ourselves is empower ourselves with this information.
I agree.
Because knowledge is power. The more we understand what's going to go on in this economic cycle that we're currently in this crazy destruction, and not for 1 second am I saying we are 100% right. This is just our views. This is our forecast. We could be horribly wrong. We could be getting this wrong, and I hope to God that we are wrong in all of this. But if you empower yourself with information, you can position yourself so well in these times to grab the opportunity. So from an economic perspective, things aren't looking great, but there is opportunities in those times. So from my side, what do you think is the most important thing for people to start gearing themselves up for going forward?
Well, thank you for that incredible insight. Like, I just think that those views were so, well put together, and those thoughts are so well constructed. And I think even though there was some doom and gloom there's still a positive spin on it, because, you're posing some sort of solution. And, to answer your question, I really think that what people need to start gearing themselves up for is that, this pandemic isn't over yet. We've entered into a new normal. So we can't expect to do the same thing and get a different result. I mean, that is the definition of insanity, as Albert Einstein said. So we need to start thinking differently and doing things differently. So from a practical point of view, I think really get into budgeting, and we'll actually drop a link below for you to get a very helpful, easy to use budgeting tool. People hammer on the fact of budgeting, but if you do it properly, that actually really puts you into perspective on how to manage your debt, how to manage your finances, where are you spending money? Because I think we need to just get back to conservatism in terms of the way that we manage our finances. That doesn't mean that that's going to be the in-all and end-all on how we run our finances going forward. But I think for this crazy time right now, let's just get really conservative, so that we can gear ourselves up for the opportunities coming forward.
Yeah, I like that.
And presenting themselves, because there are so many, like you mentioned in the previous bit. So,
I think that's awesome. I think that's great. And I hope that you guys found that insightful. I hope that is valuable. If there's any other further questions around what's going on in the economy and what our forecasts are going forward, please drop some comments below and let us know if you liked the video by giving us a thumbs up. And if you want further updates, hit subscribe. Ciao.
Ciao.